is on the board of directors. Got it. Emily Francona is on the board of directors for Adopt a Village in Guatemala, and she's going to be speaking with us today about their work in rural Maya communities. And we're just honored to have you here in Eugene with us. Thank you so much for joining us. And as you can see, everyone here is able to see you up on the screen. You'll see in the left hand, you'll be on the big screen in the Davis in Eugene. So thank you for being in Oregon with us.
Glad to be here. Can you all hear me?
It's a little quiet in the virtual world.
Okay, let's adjust that a little bit. All right. More volume. How's that?
Can you move that mic any closer to your mouth?
How's that?
Much better.
Whoa, that was an explosion. Okay, sounds good. Now, let me see if your setup lets me share my screen. Here we go. All right. There we go. Okay, so as you probably heard, my presentation is about empowering Maya children through education. And some of you are probably familiar with Adopt a Village in Guatemala. You've probably heard about it at various clubs, some district conferences, may have even gotten news about it, probably heard about it in the e-news over the years, may have seen presentations from Francis Dixon, the founder. So some of you may be familiar with the program in a sort of a general way. So what I wanted to do is just give you an overview of what the program is, who's doing what, how we're doing it, and how you may be able to become a part of it. Anyway, Adopt a Village in Guatemala was formed about 30 years ago by Rotarian Francis Dixon. It's a 501c3 registered in Oregon. And some of you know that Francis received the Service Above Self Award at the district conference in 2020 for her 3 decades of work with the Maya in Guatemala's remote highlands. So this is me. Some of you know me, some of you may not. This is when I visited the project on location in the highlands, as you can see, highlands right there, and became really enthusiastic about the whole program. And I've been a volunteer for the program ever since.
I'm so sorry to interrupt. Should we be seeing the group of 5 individuals, or should we be seeing something else on our screen?
You should see. It says you are screen sharing, so I'm hoping that it's showing up. You should see me with a shovel.
The slides are not advancing for some reason.
Oh, well, I wonder why that is. Not sure. So what are you seeing on the screen? Just the title slide with the
with
graduates?
the 5 graduates.
Well, I'm not sure why that's not advancing.
And it does not look like it's in presentation mode. So I wonder if you exit presentation mode and restart that, if that might help.
Well, let's see. And it's still not showing.
No, still the 5 individuals.
Well, let me see what I can do here. Let's try that again.
Yes, that's we see you with the shovel.
Okay, so you see me with the shovel. Okay, good. All right, so the problem. Here's the problem and why this program exists and why this nonprofit was founded. Guatemala has one of the lowest literacy rates in the Americas. And even though 79%, as you can see here, of Guatemalans are literate, only about half of the Maya are literate. And the Maya make up more about 2/3 of the population of Guatemala. So you can see the problem right there in those statistics.
I'm so sorry to interrupt again. I can
Yes.
see that you're on the next slide, but it's not advancing. Would you mind exiting presentation mode? Because then if you exit presentation mode altogether and just click on the next slide, we can get there just the same way that you got us to you with the shovel.
I wonder what the problem is here.
There it
Okay.
is. Now we're on the slide with Guatemala.
Okay. So what do you see now?
The lowest literacy rate in the Americas.
Okay. All right. So anyway, poverty, of course, is an issue. We all know from the various areas of focus in Rotary that education and poverty seem to go hand in hand. And of course, in underdeveloped countries like these, women especially are even at the lower end of all of that. So now, are you seeing a next slide?
No, we're still on the slide with Guatemala.
That's very strange. I've exited and entered again several times. I don't know why it's not advancing.
I would recommend exiting and not entering again, because we can see it when you exit and you click on the next slide. Yep, now we're on the empowering Maya children.
Yeah, this unfortunately is the preview mode, but I guess we can make do with that. Okay, so are you seeing a jaguar?
Yes.
Okay, so this whole Adopt a Village in Guatemala organization has basically three main programs. One is to provide at Maya Jaguar Center for Education middle school and high school education to kids from area villages, really remote area villages that are not reached, that cannot access government provided schools. And in Guatemala, you have to pay for middle and high school. It's not provided by the government. So the Maya Jaguar Center for Education offers middle and high school education to Maya children from some area villages, and all of this functions on donations only. That's the primary program. The other program is fairly new. It's a bilingual early literacy program, and it focuses on getting kids ready for first grade in government provided elementary schools. Since all these kids grow up speaking one of the many Maya languages, they generally enter first grade knowing very little Spanish, because at home they don't speak much Spanish and they just don't learn it. So this program was developed to give them a sort of a leg up when they enter elementary school, so they can function and be able to follow the curriculum and advance in elementary school. Then there's one third component to this. Poverty is an issue and malnutrition is an issue. And I think most of us know if malnutrition is an issue, learning is much harder. So in addition, Adopt a Village in Guatemala also helps with healthy food and tries to get transition to highly nutritional grains, and teach the kids and their parents, when they're interested, growing vegetables, whatever is suitable for the local environment. So that's the third component of what they try to do. So these are the two buildings that Adopt a Village built and operates in conjunction with a local Guatemalan foundation. And this is the high school and the middle school. It looks pretty good here, but it's fairly rudimentary. One of the problems that I noticed when I was there is they don't have a lot of electricity. They're in the middle of the jungle. So about every 5th light bulb in any given room would be on. The rest of them, they were saving electricity. Now on the roof of this building here, on this surface, are solar panels that about 10 years ago, a Portland company came and installed for them. Not free, however. They could easily use at least that much more at some point, but that was a $20,000 outlay, and there's just not enough money to get someone to come and put more solar panels in. Solar panels are the answer here. Solar, sun is abundant, and it would really, really help. So this is how those 2 schools function. They're adjacent to each other on the same campus. So this is what they learn in middle and high school. They not just academics, but also technical skills, as you can see here with computers. They have a lab, they do chemistry, biology, and they also teach them agricultural skills to grow their own vegetables. Every student gets a bed that they cultivate with vegetables and then contribute to the common dining hall. Now, I have to go back to the campus here. The kids, these are the school buildings, but they're also dormitories. Because the villages are so remote from this location, it is not feasible for the kids to commute to school every day. So the system that they have developed here is the kids come and stay 3 weeks out of the month and in their dormitories, and they eat there and they learn there. And then they go home for a week to their villages. They're transported back by the organization. And then they convey what they've learned to their smaller siblings. They help with the vegetable growing with their parents. They help with chores, etc., etc. But basically, they are here for a better part of the month, and then they go home. And the school year is 10 months. It starts in January and ends at the end of October. So the curriculum is sort of set up along a kind of a Montessori model. So it's not just academics. So they're trying to give them some life skills as well. And again, this is fully donor funded. There are no grants. There are no government subsidies. The bilingual early literacy program I mentioned earlier, during that week off when the high school kids go back to their villages, they are expected to give back by reading and to the preschoolers and helping give them some basic literacy skills, at least the alphabet, maybe some numbers, singing, and all from books that we have been able to acquire. And this village outreach is helping give those kids a leg up when they get to elementary school. And then if they can be successful in elementary school, they may actually qualify for middle and high school and be able to continue that way. So as I mentioned earlier, every student is assigned a vegetable bed, which they're expected to tend and plant, grow stuff, take care of it, and harvest and contribute to the common dining hall for the whole student body. There's also a ranch that is partially developed. There was an old coffee plantation that the organization acquired, and part of it is already functioning. And here is a group of interested parents of some of the students that are learning basic planting skills. And I happened to be there. It was a Saturday seminar. I happened to be there, so I was able to photograph this and see how they were doing it. Basically, we started with describing the soils that are found in the area and how you clear an area and how you prepare the soil. And then you figure out what vegetables or other grains or whatever, we did vegetables this time, how the seeds should be planted. And there were also some seedlings that could be planted. And the instructors these two, were showing them how to space everything properly, make sure that the right depths and the right distances is achieved, and so on, so on. And they were all paying attention so they could go home. And if they have a small piece of land where they could establish a bed for themselves, they would have the basic skills on how to do this. And seeds are also handed out when they're available. So that was the Tres Ranchos experience. Now, I mentioned the problem before with the illiteracy in Guatemala, and especially with the Mayan. Here is an example of a success story. Now, some of you may have heard about project Let's Leave No Girl Behind that the Rotary E Club of the state of Jefferson was involved in for a couple of years. She was one of our scholarship students. She graduated. She's a tiny girl. I think she's 4'2". But she was so determined to learn. She graduated with honors at the top of her class, both in academics and in technical skills in 2019. And then she decided she really wanted to learn computer science. And the staff there found her an academy, a computer academy that had a 1-year total immersion intensive training program. And with the help of some other private donations, she was able to attend that academy for a year and come and graduate from that. And she decided, instead of getting a good job, which her skills now would allow her to probably get, she decided she wanted to come back to the school and give back to the place where she started. And she is now the computer technical instructor, and more importantly, probably a real role model for the other students, because she succeeded with all this. So we're very, very proud of Isabel. And she showed how this can work and make someone successful. So here's some of the costs. This is always the ugly side of these wonderful projects. It costs about $3,800 per student per year. They can accommodate between 40 and 50 students. That's all the facility can accommodate, and the available staff, of course. So this is what we always like to tell. If you'd like to help make a difference, here's some numbers that might have you think about whether you want to contribute to this effort, if it speaks to you. Here's the cost of the early literacy program. You can imagine that it's very heavy on books. We've had very much trouble getting culturally and language appropriate books for this program. Ideally, we'd like to get books that are Maya Spanish, or at least a really good Spanish that is area and culturally appropriate. Haven't had much luck with that. So we're constantly struggling, trying to find books to replace the old worn out ones and get them to the kids so they can continue their program. This is just one image from one of the classes where they're learning their alphabets. And there you see the cost for some of these things here. And obviously we need your help. They need your help. And one of the things that struck me when I visited there is, despite this hard life that they all have, and they really don't have much, they're always cheerful, always laughing, and always singing, and just joyful despite the hardships. And that really, really impressed me. And I just want to mention, I don't have a slide for it, but I just want to mention right now, this month, there is a group of Rotarians from Canada that decided to go down there and donate their carpentry skills to rebuild a building that it's a storage and equipment building where they store everything that had been damaged in an earthquake a few years ago. And this group decided to go down there, and their families, which was very nice, and help build this building, and in the process have the students help and acquire some skills and use it as a practical math training exercise, how to measure, how to fit, how angles, etc., etc. And it's been really something. And if this is something you're interested in, please follow us on Adopt a Village on Facebook. We have a Facebook group and a Facebook page, and a lot of this is chronicled there, but it's successful, and we so appreciate this group of volunteers doing this. It's really something. So we all know that supporting education is one of the areas of focus for Rotary, and in that spirit, we hope you might consider joining us as a club or individually in helping support this program. And I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have now or later, anytime. I love talking about this. I'm really committed to these programs, and I just really, really like talking about them. So I'm hoping you as a club or you as individuals might join us in this effort. And if you want to know how to get a hold of us, scan this QR code or make a note of these contact information, and please give us feedback. We like to get feedback. So that's all I have, and I'd love to answer some questions.
If you wouldn't mind stopping your screen share so we can see everyone in case anyone has questions. And I see the first question will come from Holly.
All right.
So the solar panels, are they still functional?
Yes, they're still functioning.
So are they, so this is very good in a remote area like that to have technology like solar panels stay functional after the installation.
Yes.
Do they have to do some maintaining of it, or?
Yes, I understand they do some basic maintenance. I'm not aware of any serious problems with it. They're just insufficient for their needs at this point. That's the only problem. The other issue, not just the power issue, but also during COVID, they tried desperately to switch to online learning. Of course, internet is even a bigger issue than solar power, because it's so remote there and it's so expensive for them to get some internet access that's been a real problem. So they've limped along with trying to get cell phone service from Guatemala has cell phone service and there are towers everywhere. It's just a matter of being able to access it and pay for it.
Thank you. Yes.
Emily, I'm Greg Vick from Eugene here, and we went down with a bunch of kids, I think twice in 2006 and 2007, to Guatemala City, and we helped rebuild or build what's referred to as the Oasis in Antigua near city. And at that time, parents were known for letting their kids go, and not supporting them. And so they needed someplace to go. And it was neat that we were helping create a facility like you're talking about for the Mayans. And but the thing that I was struck by when you said that their attitudes were outstanding, and that's the way we saw it too. We went down there with the idea, boy, we're the big tough builders, and we're going to do all these great things for these people that don't have anything. Well, guess what? We're the ones that learn more. Because the attitude, they don't have anything, but they're happy. All of them are happy. And I just got back from Ireland, and the same was true. All the people there were happy and smiling and welcoming, and maybe we can learn a little bit from that. So
I totally agree. That was my impression too.
Outstanding,
Other questions? And in person, I'll ask you to come up near the microphone so the folks in the virtual world can hear you. James. Okay. We'll have James and then Scott.
Thank you, Emil.
Hi.
Success stories are a good measure of achieving goals. And when you gave that personal story of that young girl, it was really, really very appealing.
Yes.
Do you other success stories of those who go through the institution and they come and they serve their communities? And did you have a program where you encourage them after they have gone through success to come back and service into the same communities?
Well, actually, the first success story was Estella, who graduated, I think, about 6-7 years ago. Again, did very well and went into a nursing program at the university. And after getting her certification as a nurse, she came back to the school and became the school nurse and the biology and nutrition teacher. Similarly, with another graduate who is now the agricultural staff member who teaches some of the agricultural skills that they have. But basically, what has happened is the graduates from this Maya Jaguars from high school have really good skills, not just academically, but also those technical skills and agricultural skills and basically life skills and some leadership skills that they have become sought after employees. So that's the goal, to make them desirable employees and help them succeed in life. And I might add, not feel compelled to jump on that dangerous migration train heading north. This gives them a chance to be successful in their own country and not have to desperately look for other opportunities. So in my mind, in a small measure, that's one of the advantages as well.
Were you up next?
Did that answer your question?
Yes, you did.
Yes.
Well, first, my appreciation for this important program. I think you're touching people's lives in very important ways. My question is the Guatemala that I remember from the 1980s to 1990s, it would not be possible to have a program like this. Politically, the government was so oppressive that anything that had an inkling of being a communal effort was forbidden and ruthlessly handled. So what is the situation today in terms of the political scene?
Well, you're so right. And I'm glad you brought that up, because a lot of this came out of the fact that Guatemala was in a really horrendous civil war for 3 decades, which basically ended with a peace treaty in the early 90s. But there's still remnants of that unrest and that oppression. And specifically, a lot of these Mayan families in these remote villages that the organization serves were displaced people that were displaced by the fighting and the conflict. And that's why a lot of their skills that they used to have in their home villages have been largely lost. They don't have any property. Most of them are day labor, or at best, they might have a little plot of land where they can grow some of their own and subsist for the family. So the remnants of that civil conflict are still there, and basically, I think we all know that, like many other countries in Central America, Guatemala is very corrupt. The government is corrupt, and basically they don't care much for the Maya. It's the indigenous people that they really don't care for them, and you can see that from the statistics about the literacy rate in the country on average is 79, but the Maya literacy is about 49. And there are just not enough schools for them. And the kids that the Maya speaking kids, when they come to elementary school, nobody cares whether they speak Spanish or not. Spanish, of course, is the official language. So they either hang on by hook or by crook, or they're just going to fall behind. And that's why the dropout rate in elementary school is so high. So that's just some of the remnants of that civil war.
Holly.
Does that?
So let's assume that this person who became a nurse wanted to actually get a job. Where would would she be able to get it in her village? Where would she be able to get a job?
No, yeah. The villages are very, very small. I mean, some of them have only maybe a dozen families or maybe 20 or 40 families. The school is located in the department of Huehuetenango. It's like a state. It's one of the bigger ones in Guatemala, and the nearest town where there might be some jobs is a 2+ hour drive away. That's Barillas. And yes, she could get a job there, possibly. It's about the size of maybe, I'd say, half of Springfield, if that. And then she'd have to travel further to a larger city to get a better job, perhaps, or more choices. Of course, Guatemala City is about a day's drive away by chicken bus, which I can attest to personally. So it really truly is a remote area. And it looks like it's very, very close to Mexico, and you can just jump across the border. But actually, it's one of those you can't get there from here because you have to go over hillsides and ridges and mountain ridges, and it's roads are not developed, so it's a little more complicated.
Thank you.
One question on my mind is, what's the role of their native languages when they participate in these programs? Is it primarily focused on Mayan Spanish, or is there other effort to preserve or cultivate the languages from the various places that they come from?
Well, Maya, there is no Maya Spanish. Maya is a very, well, first of all, there are many Maya languages. They're very, very different from Spanish, completely different. They might be closer to, let's say, Navajo or something like that. So there's no real correlation between any of the Maya language and Spanish. So it is critical that they learn Spanish because it's the official language. You have to function in Spanish to attend school, to get a job, to do anything. So this bilingual early literacy program is attempting, in a very small way, mind you, we're only covering 3 villages at this point. They've found a few bilingual teachers that can speak one of the Maya languages that is in that area, and of course are fully qualified in Spanish. So they're doing that, and they're trying to, to the best of their ability, they're trying to maintain the Maya language and culture, but also give them that Spanish language skill to be able to function as adults and in the employment world.
Okay, we have one more question from Emily Little.
I was just curious, I saw that you have a 541 number, so I'm assuming you're Eugene Springfield. We have a large community of families from Huehuetenango in Cottage Grove. I'm sure you're
I was not aware of that. No.
Yeah, about 300 families, specifically from Todos Santos, which is a village in Huehuetenango. So I was curious if you had any we're doing any work locally with those communities in connection with this project.
Well, it sounds like we need to collaborate a little bit and share lessons learned and such. Could I get you to either put your email address in the chat box or contact me from my contact information? And maybe we can, I'd love to discuss that a little more in more detail and get some feedback from you.
Thank you. Great. Thank you.
Okay.
So that was our last question on.
Ray wanted to ask one more question.
We'll go with one last question from Ray. Ray, you're on mute.
Thank you very much. I wanted to wait till the very end. My question has to do with teacher training. Knowing that in Guatemala, anybody can be a teacher, basically, and there is no required training for that. And I also know that they have the Guatemala Literacy Project, which Rotary has also worked very closely with. And I'm wondering if the Adoptive Village works with the Guatemala Literacy Project for training of these teachers to be able to work with the bilingual clientele.
Honestly, Ray, I'm not sure where they train their teachers. It's something.
City, I think.
It's
in Guate, I think.
Yeah, I think I'd have to check on that and follow up with you on that and let you know. It's something that I just never really inquired about, and offhand, I don't know that answer. I'm sorry.
Okay, that's okay.
Well, thank you very much for joining us tonight, Emily.
My pleasure. My pleasure. Please let me hear some feedback from you, Emily@francona.net. Thank you.
You are welcome to stick around, but you're also welcome to jump off as we're going to transition into club business.